we are moving right along to the Keith Haring project, and you guys, after checking out that slideshow and all the videos and everything, you're going to move on to this. So you're each going to get one of these blank pieces of paper like this, and you're going to have to draw 2 lines somewhere on this to create the 3 picture planes for the foreground, the middle ground, and the background. So I've done that here on this one. Okay, so there's my line right here in between the foreground and the middle ground, and my line right here in between the middle ground and the background. You're then going to start creating your Keith Haring-like figures, and you have to have at least 3. You need to have at least 1 in each picture plane, okay? So the figures are actually going to get smaller as they go back, and you can see this is my foreground, so this is my largest figure. This is my middle ground, so these are medium sized. This is my background, so it's the smallest. And you're going to have to do that for yours too. You're going to start out with pencil for this, okay? And once you get it all the way drawn with pencil and you've added lots of fun and interesting things, this is pretty basic, so you want to be able to add more than this. You know, this baby's crawling, what is he crawling away from? That's something that could have been added right here. These guys look like they're dancing. There could be like a boom box or music notes or things like this. You know, this is pretty well filled up back here. I don't want you to create exactly what I've got here. You need to come up with something of your own. So once you've got a good design with pencil, you're going to show it to me. If I say yes, you're good to go. You will go ahead and then outline every single pencil line with a Sharpie. When you are doing this, make sure you put another piece of paper underneath so that the Sharpie doesn't bleed through to the table, okay? Make sure you put another piece underneath so the Sharpie doesn't bleed through. Once you get that done, you're going to go over the whole thing with a big eraser. You're then going to give me your paper, and I'm going to take it and make 3 copies of it onto cardstock. Why am I doing that? Because the project that we're working on today, and actually for the next week or so, you're going to create a 3D version. So it's kind of hard to see on this, but can we see how there's 3 sections to that? So when we actually set this up, which is having kind of a hard time there, when we actually set it up, you can easily see the foreground, the middle ground, and the background. So you've got your 3 copies, right? I've made your 3 copies of your original after you've gone over it with the Sharpie. Now you're going to start coloring. One of them you're going to color with colored pencils, and you're going to color it so that the whole thing is colored. The foreground, the middle ground, and the background. The next one you're going to color so that you've colored just the foreground and just the middle ground. You don't need to color the background on this one. And then on the last one you're coloring just the foreground. What I want you to notice on all 3 of these is that they are in fact colored identically. So this guy right here is like a red violet because I put red down and then layered violet on top, and he is colored exactly the same in all 3. So you want to color identically. Anything you do to one, you want to do to another. I want to see you guys work on some color mixing. So you're either layering the colors like this, or like in this background part, you can see how it's fading from like a turquoise to a blue and the yellow to the orange. I want to see that artwork with you. Once you get that completed, you're actually going to work on cutting these out. So the one where you colored all 3, like you see here, you're going to cut right along this line. Hopefully you'll do a nice job cutting. So here you can see I've got that cut out now. The one that you've got where it's the foreground and the middle ground, you're also going to cut it out. But this time, you're going to cut along that line between the middle ground and the background. Oops, sorry. again, you want to do a nice, neat job cutting. So here I've got it. I cut off that part that was not colored. And for this one, just like the other one, I'm going to cut that right along there as well. You do not have to use curved lines for these. I've seen kids use zigzags, straight lines, diagonal lines. It's totally up to you on how you want to do it, but you do want to make sure that you leave enough room in your foreground to make that figure fairly large. All right, this leftover stuff you can either keep or toss, that's up to you. So here's what I've got now. I've got one fully cut out like this. I've got one where it's just my foreground and my middle ground, and I've got one where it's just my foreground, okay? So those are my three. You're then gonna take 2 pieces of construction paper. I'm gonna grab that real quick. You're going to take any 2 colors you want. They can be the same or different, but you want to lay them right on top of each other like I've got here. You're going to do an accordion fold. Now, a lot of kids seem to struggle with this, so for the accordion fold, it's just like if you're folding a fan with paper, and you're going to do 4 folds and 5 sides. So I'm going to fold this way once, okay, and then I'm going to flip it over twice, flip it over 3 times, flip it over, and my 4th time. So when I look at this on the top, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 folds, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So that's how it should be folded. Then you're going to take these and separate them. So I've got it like this. You would put glue right along the edge here and here, and you're going to glue this down like this. Okay? My next step would be to take glue and run it along this edge and this edge and put it on my next folds. Just like that, okay? And then I would take glue and run it along the edge here and here, and I would glue like this. So once it is all glued together, which this is not, but you guys can kind of get the idea, you should be able to stand it up and it would pop out like that. So it is a true pop art, pop out for Keith Haring figures. So here are a couple of examples of finished ones. Got this one right here. Okay. Here's another good example. This one didn't really get glued properly, and you can see it's kind of boring because it only has the 3 figures. They do get smaller as they go back, and it was not folded properly. You can see right here, it only has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides and 1, 2, 3 folds. So, you know, you want to make sure that you are doing it correctly. And then here's one more example. Again, this one could have used something to make it a little more interesting. So this is how you work on your Keith Haring project. Good luck, and if you have questions, let me know.